The European Qualifications Framework acts as a translation device to make national qualifications more readable across Europe, promoting workers' and learners' mobility between countries and facilitating their lifelong learning. The EQF aims to relate different countries' national qualification systems to a common European reference framework. Individuals and employers will be able to use the EQF to better understand and compare the qualifications levels of different countries in different education and training systems. Since 2012, all new qualifications issued in Europe carry a reference to an appropriate EQF level. Structure: the core of the EQF concerns 8 reference levels describing what a learner knows, understands and is able to do. Euro learning outcomes. Levels of national qualifications will be placed at one of the central reference levels, ranging from basic to advanced. This will enable a much easier comparison between national qualifications and should also mean that people do not have to repeat their learning if they move to another country. The descriptor for the higher education short cycle, developed by the Joint Quality Initiative as part of the Bologna process, corresponds to the learning outcomes for EQF Level 5. The descriptor for the first cycle in the framework for qualifications of the European higher education area agreed by the ministers responsible for higher education at their meeting in Bergen in May 2005 in the framework of the Bologna process corresponds to the learning outcomes for EQF Level 6. The descriptor for the second cycle in the framework for qualifications of the European higher education area agreed by the ministers responsible for higher education at their meeting in Bergen in May 2005 in the framework of the Bologna process corresponds to the learning outcomes for EQF Level 7. The descriptor for the third cycle in the framework for qualifications of the European higher education area agreed by the ministers responsible for higher education at their meeting in Bergen in May 2005 in the framework of the Bologna process corresponds to the learning outcomes for EQF Level 8. Scope: the EQF applies to all types of education, training and qualifications, from school education to academic, professional and vocational. This approach shifts the focus from the traditional system which emphasizes learning inputs, such as the length of a learning experience, or type of institution. It also encourages lifelong learning by promoting the validation of non-formal and informal learning. This reflects a wider shift within which the EQF is acting as a catalyst for reforms. Most member states are now developing their own national qualifications frameworks based on learning outcomes. Several countries already have one in force. At present, an enterprise in France may hesitate to recruit a job applicant from, say, Sweden, because it does not understand the level of the qualifications presented by the Swedish candidate. But once the EQF is fully implemented, a Swedish person's certificates will bear a reference to an EQF reference level. The French authorities will have already decided where their own national certificates in the field concerned lie, so the French enterprise would use the EQF reference to get a better idea of how the Swedish qualification compares to French qualifications. See also, International Standard Classification of Education for a similar international level system. External links: http ec-europa.eu, portal dedicated to the implementation of the European Qualifications Framework for Lifelong Learning, http www.uvetsupport.eu/euvetsupport, a support portal for the application of EQF and ECVET in praxis, http www.project.proftview/an exemplary practical application of the EQF in the framework of the European Professional Driver Qualification.